year ago, we stopped and visited Ray Evernham at his shop, and he told us about, I've been buying up some IROC cars, barn finds. I'm going to do something with them one day. Well, here we are at Lime Rock in 2024, and this is the first IROC race in how many years?
Last IROC race was 2006.
What Ray has done with his partner Rob Kaufman is to buy the brand IROC and revive it into a brand new series. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Tell us in 2 sentences what IROC was in the beginning.
Stands for International Race of Champions, but 12 identically prepared cars that the best drivers in the world, from Formula One, from NASCAR, from IndyCar, and World Sports Car Racing, to compete against one another to find out who really was the best driver.
Wow. I know. So you've invited me to drive one of these cars. I'm sure it's one of those shiny cars back there, isn't it?
Well, it's actually not, because you're the barn find guy. And this car actually happens to be a barn find and maybe one of the most valuable original IROC cars ever. This is a 1974 Camaro that was driven by people like Benny Parsons, Mario Andretti, Jody Scheckter, James Hunt, Emerson Fittipaldi. This car has a tremendous history, and it's actually in the footage, the media package from the 1974 IROC series. All the drivers are lined up by this thing, and it's really in this same condition that it was.
And where'd you find this?
This in New Orleans, Louisiana. So I bought you know, there was a gentleman there that had a bunch of IROC stuff, and I talked him into selling it to me. You know, and people are trusting me to help get this done. People have hung on to it for years, no different than a lot of barn finds that you get, and they know that they're not going to get to see it, but they want to see it done and they want to see it used, and we were lucky enough to make that deal.
Listen, you're a busy guy. Good luck this weekend, and thanks so much. I'll try to keep the shiny side up. Well,
yeah, well, I was going to say, yeah, but, and now you can say that your ass sat in the same seat as AJ Foyt's.
I think there were about 20 IROC cars under the tent and on display outside the tent, and they're of every generation of IROC cars except Porsche. Now there are 2 Porsches. There's one of them. One is a replica of Mark Donohue's Porsche that he won the first championship in, and the other I think is George Fulmer's. But actually, those are replicas. It's because the original Porsches are so valuable that Ray said he had a hard time trying to talk people into coming out because they're worth $2 million. This is my car today. It's an exhibition race. Ray said, do you want to drive it? Sure. So this was a real barn find. A lot of these cars were, but they've been restored, and this one has been kept intact purposely because it's so authentic. It's almost like it was taken off the track, put in a container, and here it is today, 40 years later. The people that have driven this car, I can't believe that, you know, their DNA might still be on the steering wheel. You know, that I almost like feel like a real special to be invited to drive this car. What Ray Evernham and his partner Rob Kaufman has done is to revive a series, a barn find series, I'm calling it. It is, they've taken the IROC brand, which was sitting in a file cabinet somewhere. It hasn't been used for, I think we figured 18 years, and revived it. They bought the branding name, and now they're going to revive it. And this is the first event at Lime Rock Park in the summer of 2024. And I think there are greater things going to happen with this, potentially with new cars, a new type of car to determine who's the best driver. You know, a NASCAR, sports car, IndyCar, Formula One, off-road, like it was originally invented. We're bringing you into areas that normally you wouldn't be able to get into. The drivers meeting, talking to the mechanics working on the car, talking to drivers that I know or some that I don't know that are invited to run here as well. So it's a special weekend. I hope you enjoy it.
If you look at your sheet there, we're going to let the Porsches start first, the Generation 1 Camaros second, Generation 2 Camaros third, and then all the Avengers and the Firebirds.
I feel like I'm going to kiss my first girl.
Fun out there, that mix it up, pick your places. You know, probably the straightaways are the best places to pass, but stay together. flag, we're going to do 2 cool down laps. And that's, again, if you bunch up, I want you waving the fans. It's for these fans around the racetrack to take pictures. You know, this is, again, a special day.
I've been to the track and back. That was fun. I mean, for an exhibition race, it was pretty great, you know. It's a heavy car. I don't know if I've ever driven a car that heavy before. It's got to be 3,000 pounds. Heavy steering. The brake pedal is really low, but it was a blast. Anytime you could race anything, it's a good day.
All right, we've been invaded.
Let's bring back one of racing's great cliches, Tom Cotter. What's it like out there?
Oh wow, it was good. This is the heaviest race car I've ever driven. I tell you.
What I tell you.
I mean, for guys like you, my hat's off, because it ain't a Miata,
No.
but it's fun. Very primitive, you know. That big old sloppy steering box. The brake pedal, that's a little bit too low. Where's that? Oh, there it is. But it was a blast, and for Ray to offer me a chance to drive maybe the most original, authentic IROC car in the field here, it's quite an honor. So,
How did it handle?
You're a little short of breath.
well, there's a lot of steps coming up here. I'm not a marathoner anymore, remember? That's Scott Speed out there in it now.
Tom, you of course are involved in vintage racing. You have a vintage Corvette that we've seen on a number of occasions. How does that compare with the Camaro you just drove?
It's much more svelte. The Corvette, I can dance with that car. It almost feels like a Miata to me, because I've raced it for 25 years now. I can throw it and catch it in a turn. I've never been in this car before. Those are the first laps I've ever taken, and I'll probably never take again. So, but okay, I think after a weekend, you could probably get into it.
Yeah.
How long did it take you?
Again, they're big, heavy cars. Second-gen Camaros especially run off their front tires. They're very, very nose heavy. The Firebird, like Rob Kaufman races, has another 120 pounds on the nose. They're not easy to drive, because you go into the corner and all they want to do is push. Oh, excuse me, understeer. I forgot what line rock, okay?
Wrong broadcast booth.
So it's all push, and then you try to get out of Big Bend, you try to get on the throttle, and my experience is there's not enough weight transfer to the rear of the car to really get good grip. Is that what you found?
Yeah, I have to say though, that I soft pedaled it around here. I didn't really, I don't want to hurt that equipment or myself, and there's, like, I don't want to be a hero on the first 4 laps. But give me 10 years, Greg, and I'll be back.
See, I'm Cotter, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm too old to be fast, so I'll settle for being half-assed.
I'll remember that. Thank you so much, Greg. If you like these videos, you really should check out the Hagerty Drivers Club. You get 24/7 roadside assistance with flatbed towing, subscription to an award-winning magazine, and more. Sign up today. The link is in the description below.
Mike Phelps is here today. He is one of the founders of IROC, along with Les Richter and Roger Penske. Jay Signori, who was IROC's general manager for its entire tenure. Jay is here.
We're here at the rebirth of the IROC Racing Series, which hasn't run, I think, for 18 years. But this series is a long-time series. It was invented a long time ago by 3 people. It was Roger Penske, Les Richter, and Jay Signori, one of the 3 partners and inventors of IROC. Am I correct in that?
Almost. Actually, it was Roger and Les, and then a good friend of Roger's called Mike Phelps, who was sort of an agent, for the lack of a better term. It started in a conversation with Les and Roger, as I heard it, up in Riverside in some kind of a rain out. And they said, gee, we ought to build these equal cars and let's see who's the best of the best. And I think Mark just finished winning the Can-Am Series, 9/17/30, and however Roger sells, he sold it to Porsche, the idea. And that's how IROC started. It lasted 1 year on the Porsches. I guess Roger went to Chevrolet then. And at that point, I was managing Penske Racing. So most of my stuff was all around racing, but IROC was only a part-time job.
But you stayed with it from the beginning?
I've been with it since 73.
Which is when they had that conversation and started the Porsches. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So, interesting little side note. Mark Donohue started his racing career in a Elva Courier. This guy was in an Elva Courier right next to Mark Donohue. Did you guys race here?
We raced here quite a few times, so we actually became really close friends, and we followed each other and raced all around and helped each other out. So Mark was a super guy, a lot of fun to be around, and he would pull fast ones on you, and you had to pull a fast one on him.
That's what I heard. Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Ray restarting this series?
It's great to see all the action involved in it. Hopefully something will come out of it. Everything changes in life, and you don't want to be a naysayer because you never know. The racing world, like even the world we live in today, has changed dramatically. It's not like it used to be. And if you go back and you think about the early guys in IROC, like Bobby Unser, Dale Earnhardt,
yeah.
I mean, but the Unsers, the Andrettis, those guys drove everything, stock cars, Indy cars, dirt track. So we don't have that. More or less today, there's a few, because what are you gonna do about Kyle Larson? I mean, he's kind of a natural. Kyle Larson, to me, is a lot like Al Jr. was. Drive anything. So you see all of these changes. I think in those days, if you raced, you got a half of a buck for each lap you led. So maybe you won the race and you got $100. But today,
yeah. Wow.
You're talking cubic dollars, and so and a lot of the drivers, the attractions for the cars. We brought a lot of European fellas over, which is nothing. They're all great guys.
Yeah.
You know, the Elio Castroneves, and you go on, and then this list of names. Price of eggs has grown to such a great proportion that owners don't want their drivers driving other people's equipment.
I get it, yeah.
So, I mean, that's...
So you were there during a golden spot in time.
Yes, that was
wow.
when things were... A driver wanted to come, or they could come. Even if an owner didn't want him and the driver wanted, he said, well, I'm driving, I don't care. You know, he could do that then, but today your contracts are pretty bulletproof, and I think Mike Phelps got a call from Bernie Ecclestone saying, you will have no more Formula One drivers in your IROC series. So you cancel those guys out. And there's a lot of great stories. They were great guys. They came over. Graham Hill getting in an IROC car. I mean, they were not power steering back then either. And we're at Riverside. And he sits down and he looks out and he says, hey, mate, you think you have a bloody smaller steering wheel? I said, we'll get you whatever you want. Just do me a favor, do a lap or two. He went out and came back. He said, mate, do you have a bloody bigger one?
Oh, man. Is that in the Camaro?
Yeah, I was in a Camaro.
Well, I just drove the first-gen Camaro, and it's a truck.
Yeah.
Jay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. It's always good to see you guys.
You too. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
In a previous life, I worked with this guy, Bobby Labonte, drove the Maxwell House, Bill Davis Racing NASCAR Cup car. And now, well, you're back in an IROC car. How many IROC races did you run?
I ran 4 years, so I probably ran 8. I ran one more race in Fontana, so probably 9 races. Oh, no, 4 years plus that one race, so 4, 8, 26, 17 races.
And championship?
Yeah, in 2001, won the championship. Yep. So in Indianapolis, this car came straight from Indianapolis. I bought it from Jay Signori afterwards.
You own that car?
Yes, sir. Yep. And so it's been sitting in my shop, and Ray got it all ready to go. And yeah, so here we are. And yeah, just what a cool thing. I mean, it's one of those cars that I kept along with a few others, but it's always been that. I mean, to me, the IROC series was always the invite that I got from Jay and Les Richter was like, if I can get invited to that, that would be amazing, right?
That was
So got invited to it, and yeah, that was really.
You made it when you got to that point. You made it.
I felt like I got pictures 8x10s of all the drivers that were in the series that year when they did them at Daytona. So, and it's always cool to see the people that you raced with back in the day. So.
Well, listen, I know you got an autograph signing coming up, but man, thanks. It's good to see you again.
Okay, Tom.
It's been a while.
Yes, it has. It has been a while.
I'll see you on the track.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Don't get on my way.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I forgot about you.
Rob Kauffman is one an investor with Ray Evernham in this series, the rebirth of IROC. What does it feel like to own a barn find racing series that's been kind of sitting in a desk drawer, and you brought it back to life?
Well, it's kind of you to say. I mean, it's such a iconic brand. I mean, a lot of us grew up with IROC racing and cheering for heroes from different racing series, racing against each other, right? Door-to-door racing. It was really cool. And the opportunity came up. You know, Ray and I were talking about different opportunities, and to own an actual series as opposed to participate one is quite different from an investment point of view. But it's a lot of work too. But rather than starting something from scratch, he had something with a lot of history. And in fact, Ray himself was very involved with the IROC series when it was running. Right? He built a lot of these cars and had a lot of records and had the cars, so we had a running head start.
So when you were younger, did you sit on the hill and watch cars like these go around this track?
Oh, heck yeah. There's a picture of me and my brother when we were probably 1970 on that hillside, and I logged a lot of time on the blanket up there sitting and watching races, and I even worked uphill in the flag stand when I was at college. So
cool.
So
so what's the next step for this series?
That's a good question. I think we've been very focused on execute step one well. So touch wood, we're trying hard to have a good event. It's been a lot of fun reception. We had Danny and Ken Schrader and Mark Martin, a lot of support from the original drivers and cars. So that's been super. Real great turnout from the fans. So step one is just establish the perimeter and then see what opportunities come up. But
it's like a businessman.
Yeah, well, an IROC 2.0 would be super cool, right? To see, Lewis Hamilton race Kyle Larson versus Scott Dixon or something, just to make stuff up would be super. Now, it might be a little hard to get done, but step by step. So
well, my fingers are crossed, man.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for participating. Thanks.
I'm told this is the most original IROC car in existence. It was driven by Dale Earnhardt. Came off the track. Richard Childress bought it and put it in a garage in Welcome, North Carolina, where it's been sitting until now. Oh, there's a crack in the windshield that Dale Earnhardt put in there in the last IROC race. It's still there. I'm not sure if it's been repainted or not. Looks pretty clean. Ray Evernham is looking for any IROC car of any generation, especially Porsches. If anybody watching this program knows of an IROC car sitting in a barn somewhere, Paul Haggerty will let Ray know. This is a work in progress. It was an Al Unser Jr. car, and it was found in bad shape. So as you see, they had to put it on another roof. This is going to be restored, but right now it's just on display. There's no drivetrain in here. So the rest of these cars are all running, driving cars. This is on display, and it's kind of cool to see it like this. This is kind of where my racing career began, like literally on this grass, on this hill. My wife and I used to come here 40 years ago and watch IMSA races and SCCA races. And I said, I wish I could be out there. I wish I could be out there one day. And there's the orange Camaro that I drove earlier today. When I first started to come here, this tree was a twig. Look at it now. Lime Rock is kind of the birthplace of sports car racing in the East. And I love the dickens out of it.